Okay, we're back. We're live at 5 o'clock block. I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech. This is Community Matters, really deeply community, okay? This is VLSH, Volunteer Legal Services of Hawaii. And we have its Executive Director, Angela Min Quoman, if you want, and Trever Asam. He's an attorney with Cage Shuddy Fleming and Wright. And they're both joining us to talk about Taste of Justice. You may wonder what that is. So that's where I'm going to turn it over to Angela. Angela, Trever, welcome to the show. And Angela, can you tell us what justice tastes like?
Hi, Jay. Thank you so much for having us. Taste of Justice is our upcoming fundraiser. And I would like to say that justice tastes great and tastes good, but I think it's actually a mix of flavors. There's some known flavors and there's a lot of unknown. And I think with COVID, this last year, we've had a lot of question marks. But we're very happy that VLSH has, this is our 40th year and we are still going strong. We're helping the legal community and we're helping those that really don't have access to lawyers, and we're here to help them.
How does it work? 40 years, wow, that's quite some time. Let me do the math on that. What is the math on that?
1981.
Yeah, whoa, wow. And so what does the Volunteer Legal Service of Hawaii do? I mean, what kind of operation do you perform?
So we're a local small nonprofit, and the way that we work is we actually partner up with local community lawyers. So we actually don't have staff attorneys at our office. Most of my staff is helping with intake, program running, doing outreach, and we utilize the thousands of lawyers in Hawaii. There's about 200 in our pool that want to give back to Hawaii. And so pro bono in Hawaii is not mandatory. And so all the lawyers that volunteer through our program do it out of the goodness of their hearts. And so that's actually one of the reasons why I think our programs run so effectively, because the lawyers really want to be there to help these individuals. They know that not everyone can hire an attorney and to the attorney of their choosing at the same time. In the area of law that they need help with, sometimes they run into more than one area of law that they need help with. So we're there to provide legal assistance. And the way that our program works is how we attract volunteer attorneys at the same time is we kind of give a menu of ways to volunteer. If you only want to help someone on the phone, you can do a consult over the phone. Pre-COVID, if you want to come down to our office and do a face-to-face consult, you can. We actually bring our clinics to different areas across Oahu and the neighbor islands, and we partner up with attorneys there, and we call them our pop-up clinics, and we utilize school cafeterias, public libraries, and so we really try to meet individuals of where they're at. At the same time, I think lawyers really like to have that kind of outside of the office experience too. On a Saturday, they can dress down, wear their aloha shirt and shorts, and go talk to somebody and help them. And we just have a different ways of our approach, and we hope that meets the individual's needs. I will share one of our programs that has really picked up steam this last year because of COVID is what we call the Hawaii Online Pro Bono Program. And we shorten it with the kind of acronym HOP. And we use it as a HOP, Hawaii Online Pro Bono, but also you can hop on anytime because it's an online portal to answer questions. So individuals can post questions any time of the day, and they await a lawyer to answer their questions. And
Oh, so they don't have to be in a meeting. It could be anytime. That's really good.
right,
That's really cool.
right. So they post it, and at the same time, the volunteer attorney can pick and choose which questions they want to answer. So if I log in and I'm a family law attorney, I'm going to sift through and find the family law questions that I can answer. I'm going to skip probably the bankruptcy questions because I don't know how to answer those, right? So it also gives opportunities to the volunteer attorneys to pick and choose, and they have the ability to ask questions back and forth. They even have the ability to ask the client to upload documents. So let's say the client says, I got this document, I'm not really sure what it means, I think I have a court date. They can scan and upload it to the portal. And that just makes it easier for the attorney to look at the document and kind of advise them that way as well. And we really try to market this program. It's actually our 4th year, but I felt like it didn't really get that popular until this last year where we're really at home. a lot of businesses were closed, offices were closed, and individuals were able, if they could have Wi-Fi, they can be able to log on and post a question. We also try to adapt, during in the past when there was like disaster relief, and right now too, we have a lot of the floods going on, and so we have extra kind of, depending on what the circumstances are, extra topics that individuals can post their question under.
Why do you do this, Angela? Is this for the big bucks?
It definitely isn't. And I'm happy to share, my previous, I guess my legal career. I used to work in a big law firm. And I thought that's what I was going to do after law school. I was supposed to go work for a big firm, and I actually didn't find the work fulfilling. And I always, when people ask me, what's your most memorable case, or what do you love about being a lawyer? And the cases that I always wanted to share was actually the pro bono cases that I took. And I had, one of the cases that I took really made an impact on my life. And I know that without, I guess, my help directly, like this family would be in such a different place, and without a lot of resources. Even when I was in California, I used to volunteer with Volunteer Legal in the Bay Area. That was run through the local bar association. But I think our clients, a lot of times they're turned away so many times. And if you're willing to sit down and just listen to them, and sometimes you may not be able to give them all the answers that they want, but I think a lot of times that they've just been turned away so many times. And if you're willing to be a listening ear, it really puts them at ease, and it really helps them in more ways than you would think. And I just feel that if we have more of us out there, it would make the courts a lot easier to navigate. I can imagine, obviously I have a legal career background, but if you told me to send me to Supreme Court by myself, I'd be very scared. I wouldn't know what to do with an argument there. And so we even have programs to help at the Supreme Court level, the appellate level, and it's all based on volunteers. So at the same time, we do tell our clients, our program is based on volunteers. We don't guarantee representation, but we'll try our best to find you a match depending on your case. And of course, the heads up on time that they give us. Sometimes we get calls. We've had calls where someone's at court right now and they're trying to find an attorney. So, there's a lot of circumstances that are at play, but we definitely try our best to put them in a better place that they were than when they called us.
And you're in a larger community. I mean, what you do helps the courts, as you said. It helps the bar association in terms of performing its function to the community. It helps the Chief Justice for sure, because he has this initiative about access to judgment and to justice for everybody. And so, they all benefit by what you do. You're in the middle, you're the hub of a wheel, so to speak, and you're actually serving more than your clients. But what about your clients? Who do you serve? What kind of people, avail themselves of your services?
Sure. So to qualify for our services, one of the qualifications is based on income. So we serve the low to moderate income community of Hawaii. That's about goes up to the 250% of the federal poverty line. We also help veterans, and we also help seniors. And it really comes from a lot of individuals that if maybe both parents were working, and if one parent loses their job, it's really hard on the family. And if they run into a legal issue at the same time, there's just no way that they can navigate the court system and hire an attorney. And we try to help those that fall in that, also the gap group, what we call. Those may not qualify for the traditional legal aid services, and kind of fill that group. We also try to just do an outreach to a lot of individuals that are coming back into society, those coming out of jail, at transitional shelters, and are trying to find permanent housing. And I think that's a really important time where they may not get that much as hand holding, and we want to make sure we're there. They might not have a legal issue yet, but we also provide outreach and legal education. And so we hope that we give them these resources and these tools that maybe they don't have to call our office in a year, but we want to, I think it's a really big, important part of what we do is, educating the community.
Yeah, part of the social safety net for sure.
Definitely. And I think what you said, Jay, is really important. Like, being part of a wheel. I think, for me, especially, I know that VLSH, we can't do it alone. And there's a lot of nonprofits here, and we all can't do it alone. And we all work together. I really like to think that we're all partners. And you can think of it as we're all part of that wheel. to get us keep running, because especially during COVID, I know all the nonprofits, we've been just, influx of calls, and a lot of times we get calls that just not areas that we can help out with. And one of the hardest parts is when someone calls our office and it's like, we have to tell them, sorry, you called the wrong place, like we need to tell you to go somewhere else. And we really try to communicate with one another, and when programs change, we all know, that way we can direct people to the right place.
It's all about communication. So,
Yes.
Trevor, you're the president of the board president of the VLSH. That's something. What's it like? And I guess my overriding question is why?
Well, I think this is a critical organization at a critical time for Hawaii. And why do I do it? I do it because it's so important to, as Angela said, families, working class, as you said, the court system. And really, the way I look at it is that our legal system doesn't work if the only people who can go to court or who can understand legal proceedings are the ones who can pay the rates for attorneys. That's not the way that our legal system is supposed to work. And I think that if it's only the rich folks who are using it, then our system doesn't work. And I think as a participant and a beneficiary of the legal system who works in it, 365 days a year, I think that we all have a responsibility to ensure that it's working the way that it needs to.
355 days. What about the other 10, Trevor?
You got to take a Sunday off every once in a while.
It reminds me. I went to NYU Law School, and Erwin Bischoff was his name, I think, and he was the dean at the time. And he had us all in an auditorium to start, and he said, I don't want you guys to get me wrong. We don't want you to work all the time. You hear these rumors and stories about our demands made on students in the school here, but don't get it wrong. In fact, we want you to take off between 6:30 and 6:45 every Sunday evening. So I guess you can have your 10 days, luxurious as it may seem. So what is it like to be board president, and what is it like to be a volunteer for VLSH?
Well, I think as president, it's really an honor that I have to serve the organization and to guide it through what's been a really interesting year, the last 12 months, and hopefully a little more stability over the next couple of years than we've seen recently. In terms of volunteering, I think we all like to take a case here and there. What I like about working on pro bono matters for volunteer legal is that we make it easy for the attorneys. So the organization handles all the intake. The organization runs conflict checks for us to ensure that our firm or we're not ending up representing someone in a volunteer capacity who's adverse to any of our other clients. And volunteer legal sort of sets the issue up, and then we just need to come in and provide our expertise. And Angela mentioned a number of different ways that we can do that, whether it's through Hawaii Online Pro Bono or through Zoom meetings nowadays, or our pop-up clinics, or sometimes going to court. But they make it easy, and that's I think the best part about volunteering. And then you get to have your client relationship, get to know and understand what someone's going through, and ideally help them through it.
So what's your specialty in the practice at Cage Shuddy, and how does that help you do this?
I'm a tax attorney. And so the volunteer legal services cases that I have taken on have been ones that tax is not typically one of our areas of focus for volunteer legal. But as Angela mentioned, a lot of times calls come in and we don't want to tell them that we can't help them, especially when we've got a tax attorney. And so I've received a couple of those cases, and they're like any other tax case. The cases that I handle for larger clients or wealthier clients, tax cases tend to be about the taxpayer and the IRS or the state, and I'm able to use all of my skills that I've developed on behalf of other clients to help these clients.
What's the experience like? You talk to them, you answer the questions. you feel that you make a material difference in their lives? Do you have to refer them to other people on occasion? Do you feel that you're having an effect on the social, the social schema of our community?
I do. And I think part of it is that as attorneys, we deal with legal matters all the time. You know, every call that we get is someone who's facing a legal dilemma of some sort. Otherwise, they wouldn't call us. We're too expensive just to talk and hang out. I think what's fascinating about the pro bono cases is that whereas a lot of the time I'm dealing with very sophisticated clients who have 3 or 4 or 5 different legal matters going on at any one time, our pro bono clients don't. This might be the only time they've spoken to an attorney in the last 2 or 3 years, and it's never a pleasant experience for them. They're coming to us in some of their worst moments, and the ability to help someone in that moment is incredibly rewarding. And does it help them? Gosh, I hope so. It seems to, because if we can help them, and it doesn't mean we're going to solve all their problems, but it means that we can solve this one. And I think that that's really, really important.
Yeah. People out there, especially in disadvantaged classes, have trouble trusting lawyers. I'm sure you found that, and I know I have. And they're sort of standoffish. How do you break that resistance down? How do you get them to trust you and like you and partner up in the solution to the problem?
No, I don't think that a distrust of lawyers is limited to the disadvantaged classes.
Okay, no argument there.
And so I think the approach with respect to pro bono clients or any other client is the same, which is that we have to talk to them, we have to listen to them, we have to figure out what's going on. And a lot of the times when we sit down with them that first time, or nowadays over Zoom, you get a lot of information in that first call. Maybe a third of it is relevant to their legal case, but all of it's relevant to building that trust. And I think that that's how you do it. And actually, this is one of the reasons that I encourage our younger associates to take on these matters, is that that's a skill that they're going to take with them to the for-profit world, to our larger clients. Just building that rapport and that trust is critical.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is part of the training of a young lawyer, even part of the training of an older lawyer. Not to make any statements about anybody's age here, but it seems to me that your law education, your law experience is really not complete until you've dealt with all income brackets, until you've dealt with every corner of society. It's like when you read case books, in contracts and torts, those cases come from every corner of society. They're not limited, I mean, and that's the remarkable thing about reading a case book. And so, it seems to me, see if you agree, that when you do this sort of volunteer services, you're really helping your own appreciation of the community. You're learning about the community that you are serving. No?
Absolutely. And I think it's not just learning about the community, it's also learning about the legal system, elements of it that you might not see in your normal practice. And often, just the types of questions that you'll get in a pro bono matter tend to be different. If you've got a really sophisticated client that knows exactly which question they're asking you, it's a skill to be able to answer that question. When you have a client who doesn't know exactly what question to ask or exactly what fact they need to provide to you, I think that's also really useful. And I don't think that the educational element of it is limited to younger or less seasoned attorneys. I think that we all get a lot out of it.
Yeah. So
And
I'm sorry. Yes, Angela. Yes.
I was going to add, also, I think the experience of helping a pro bono client than one of your maybe millionaire, billionaire clients is just obviously very different. But I've heard more thank yous from my pro bono clients than I have from the paid clients. And, when I try to get attorneys to come volunteer at my clinic, that's what they say to me too. They're like, oh, they were so appreciative. I looked through their documents. I just talked to them for 20, 30 minutes, but they're just so appreciative. I've received handwritten thank you notes I don't know the last time I got one of those from when I was a private firm attorney. And just like, I really do feel that when you do pro bono work, you feel good about yourself too, because you really are using being a lawyer is a skill and it's really a privilege. And to be able to share that with somebody that would otherwise be able to hire you, it's gigantic, and it's a really big impact on someone's life, I feel.
You ever get chickens?
Chickens?
You ever get chickens?
Oh, no.
Okay.
You mean
chickens?
You mean like
Jay,
chicken skins?
Like from the coop in the backyard.
Oh
Those
no,
chickens.
Pro
I
bono, Jay.
received
We don't have to get paid at all.
I received cakes though. We've had clients. It was pre-COVID. We had clients come and deliver a cake to us, or a box of pastries, because they were so happy with our services. And actually, one of our clients, definitely, very low income. And after we finalized her case for her a guardianship for her granddaughter, she came, rode the bus with this gift for Christmas, and to me, I know that must have cost her like half a week's of groceries or something like that. And I said, oh, no, please. And she's like, no, I rode the bus all the way. I have to give this to you and your staff. They're just so appreciative of what we did. And, to us, it's like, oh, we're
Can't
just
say no to that. Yeah.
I know. And it really hits you, and it's just a big impact. And I know that we're doing what we can, little by little, but there's just so much out there that we still can't reach to at the same time.
So Trevor, I mean, one of the things the board has to do is make sure that the organization, which, as you guys have said, doesn't receive any fees at all from any of its clientele ever, that the organization is afloat, that it's sustainable, that it has income that covers its expenses, and that it has reserves that cover, its activities going forward. Nonprofits have a problem these days. They have a problem in COVID. They've always had a problem. And as members of the board, you have to be aware of that. In fact, I would say it's got to be a primary concern and consideration for everything you do. So can we talk about Taste of Justice for just a moment? Because this had to emerge in a board discussion. What are the methodologies by which VLSH raises money first?
So I'm going to guess we have about 3 primary sources of income. One is state funding, and traditionally we have received a purchase of service contract with the judiciary, where they help to essentially purchase services from us to serve low-income communities. We receive money from the HSBA through a bar dues checkoff, so individual bar members can, as part of their annual registration, assign some of the money over to us, or make a donation at that sort of point. And then third is private donations. I will note that the first source of funding I mentioned, public funding from the state, we're in about month number 8 of receiving no public funding, and that's going to extend for about 24 months. And that's just the reality of COVID and the state budget right now. It puts a huge dent in our operating budget. Thankfully, we continue to receive the support of HSBA members through their bar dues checkoff and through HSBA as a whole in continuing to provide that method of funding for us. And the third is as we're talking about, the Taste of Justice and other opportunities for just general giving from the philanthropic community, from law firms, from individual attorneys. And I'm really proud to say that we have such robust support from all sectors of the bar. We've got plaintiffs' attorneys who give us money. We've got defense attorneys who give us money. We've got insurance attorneys, and we've got personal injury attorneys. And this is thankfully one of the areas where people really can come together and support a really necessary cause.
That's great. That's so important. So Angela, let's get into the weeds. We are now going to talk about Taste of Justice, which comes on April 23rd. And we're going to play a short clip just to give you an idea of what will happen. Okay, so Eric, will you play that clip now? Okay, here's the flyer, Angela. Tell us what this means and tell us how we can sign up for it.
Great. So this will be our sixth annual fundraiser. Generally, we would have an in-person event. Obviously, with COVID, we actually canceled our event last year. And this year, we were unsure, if we can gather. So out of the abundance of caution, we are having a virtual event. And we're very happy that we're partnering up with Jay again for this event. And what we want to do at this event is really not just necessarily raise funds for VLSH, while that's very important, but we want to shed light on pro bono work. And we are honoring Judge Copeland and McCorston, and we want to honor them because of all the pro bono work that they have done for VLSH and for the community. And we also will share like a list of all of our volunteer attorneys. As I mentioned, we have near 200 volunteer attorneys that have, and we've been around for 40 years. We have some attorneys that I know that are still volunteering. And we also have, like Trevor mentioned, we have young associates who just graduated a couple years ago and are volunteering. So, pre-COVID, it was also kind of a way to network and socialize, but this time's gonna be a little different. We'll be online. We'll be showcasing some of our programs. And because it's 40 years, I'm actually also putting together kind of a history video of how we started, where we are today, and some changes has happened, especially due to COVID, and where we are today and where we hope to be in the next decades too at the same time. And this event is actually free to attend virtually. And the way that we're bringing it free to the audience is the help of our sponsors, local firms and companies. And you've seen a couple of names already on screen earlier. We're very thankful that we already have a good handful of firms and local organizations that have committed to being a sponsor for this event. There's still time to be a sponsor as well. And my information is on there, or you can email me, Angela@vlsh.org. We have different levels of sponsorship. Also, if you'd like to make a donation to our organization, we would gladly accept that as well. And you can go on our website. There is information about the event, the link to register. It will be over Zoom, as well as information about our honorees. And we hope that it'll be very enjoyable for you to attend, as well as learning a little bit more about VLSH and our history.
Yeah, VLSH.org, am I right? Did I get that right?
Correct.
Okay, excellent. Easy to remember too.
Yes.
So Trevor, I understand from watching that clip just now that you are speaking. You're one of the speakers. And I wonder if we can get a précis on what you're going to say. I assume you've thought about it and you know roughly what you're going to say, but can you give us a sort of inside track on that?
Sure. Look, this is a critical time for our community. It's a critical time for our organization. As we start to come out of the sort of COVID cloud that we've been living through over the last 12 months, during that time, I think we all retracted a little bit. We went into our bubbles. We formed sort of small groups. As we come out of it, we're going to look around and we're going to see that our economy, our community, people around us, they need help. And I think that's going to be our time and our opportunity to start reaching outside of our small bubbles and adopt a different posture. I think we need to be looking out for each other and figuring out how to help. And that's, I think, the next 12 months that we face, not just as an organization, but as a community.
Well, they say that COVID has changed our society. And it seems to me that the lessons we've learned, possibly, the way we look at the world, the way lawyers look at the world, the way clients look at the world has been changed by COVID. So do you think that VLSH will be different going forward because of the experience that you've all had in 2020?
I think that the organization will continue to evolve, but the one thing that's going to stay the same is that our clients need our help. And they might need help in different ways. They might need help under different circumstances, but they still need our help. And that part I really hope is going to remain exactly as it always has been.
When Charles Dickens wrote, what was it, The Christmas Carol, and there was Bob Cratchit and a few other characters that were memorable. And part of it was the ghost of Christmas future. And so I always like to ask people about the ghost of Christmas future. The ghost of Christmas future was a future without Ebenezer Scrooge. He was not there, and they were looking into the world ahead, on a sort of pessimistic assumption. So if I give you a world ahead without VLSH, where nobody's doing volunteer legal services for the community, what kind of world is that?
It's a more stratified world in which only the wealthy have access to our legal system, and those without means are not going to succeed in that system, which means that it's not going to be a fair system. That's what we bring to the table is equity within the justice system. And I think that without it, the system doesn't work, and it's no longer a system of justice.
Wow, Angela, wow. You got a great board president, no kidding. How much of what he said do you agree with?
100%.
Angela, this is your time to say what you want to leave with our viewing audience. What would you tell them that you want them to remember? What's the takeaway on this discussion?
Sure. I think especially this last year, COVID has obviously, like you mentioned, really changed our lives. And I think there's even a more separation between the higher upper class and the middle lower class. I think even more people fell in the lower class now, and there's just more and more need. And just the resources out there are also limited. And we shared about funding earlier, but at the same time, I think people keep asking me what other programs can we bring to the table? Can you expand programs at the same time? So we're very happy that we've been able to, but I think we really need the support of the community, whether it's volunteering, whether it's a donation. We really like to see us around for the next 40 years. I don't know if I will still be there or not, but I really hope VLSH will be there. And, the impact is still there. We have good relationships with the community, good relationship with the judiciary, good relationships with the local attorneys in Hawaii. And I'm very happy to say, I'm very proud to say that we have that right now. And our influence in the community, I really like to see that expand, and hope people know about us and they reach out to us for help if they need to, and don't be scared, if they have a legal issue, because everyone has one. And we hope that we can be that resource to help them, or at least direct them to the next place where they can get that help.
Okay, this is the part where the little bird comes down and Groucho Marx is there. And you remember that, Trevor? And the little bird says, what does it say? VLSH.org. It means go there and register. And when you register, how about making a contribution to help a very worthy nonprofit cause for all of Hawaii? Thank you so much, Angela. Trevor, it's been great talking with you.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Thank you, Jay.